What's going on, guys? Chris from AutoAcademics here, and we are going to take another first ride. Today we are with Harley-Davidson, so let's see what we can put a leg over. The bike we have our hands on today is a 2025 Harley-Davidson Street Bob. It's the brand's most affordable softail, and it's been updated with some sweet features. So let's get started. As with any Harley, there are plenty of options available, but this particular bike came spec'd with an eye-catching centerline yellow paint color and laced wire spoke type wheels. The front is 19 inches with a 100-section Harley-branded Dunlop D401F tire, and in back is a 16-inch 150-section rear. The forks are 49mm with dual-rate spring and aluminum triple clamps, and the rear is suspended by a hidden 43mm free-piston coil-over monoshock with preload adjustment. Putting a leg over the bike wasn't an issue for my 5'8" frame, and a nicely padded seat has an unladen height of 26.8 inches, making standover a breeze. This Street Bob also had a pillion with backrest installed. The mini-ape handlebars lend to the iconic silhouette, and the mid-mounted foot controls provide a fairly comfortable and sporty cruising position. That is, if you don't mind the wind, since this bike is what you call naked, with no fairings on it. The lighting is all LED, and the brakes consist of a single drilled 300mm rotor with 4-piston Harley-branded fixed caliper up front, and a single drilled 292mm rotor with 2-piston floating caliper in back. Also, the Street Bob comes standard with ABS. Finally, we have the best part of this update, the new engine. It's an electronic sequential port fuel-injected Milwaukee 8 117V twin that makes 98 horsepower and 120 foot-pounds of torque. A 6-speed transmission with final belt drive handles the gears, and the exhaust is a 2-into-1 example that, while a bit soft, sounds fine for stock. The tank holds 3.5 gallons, and it's all braced by a mild steel tubular frame. This new Street Bob has some notable tech too. Along with the ABS I mentioned earlier, there's also traction control, a drag torque slip control system, and tire pressure monitoring. The instrument gauge also has a new 4-inch LCD display, allowing you to control the 3 selectable ride modes: road, rain, and sport, and there's a USB charge port on the side too. So, now that we've taken care of that, it's time for the ride. What's going on, guys? Chris from AutoAcademics here, and we are today on the 2025 Street Bob. Now, this particular bike, it's kind of a mid-cycle refresh, I guess. Sorry, I've got to get used to my controls here. This particular bike, I'll talk about that right now. So the turn signals, left is on the left handlebar and right is on the right handlebar. Whereas for a lot of bikes, sorry, let me see how to cancel. There we go. Whereas for a lot of bikes, the turn signal is on the same handlebar, i.e. the left. So that's something I have to get used to. Now, for 2025, all Street Bobs have been upgraded to a 117cc engine. Which is pretty cool. I believe the previous engine was 111 cc's. We're at 117 now. So there is a bit more power now. which is nice. This bike is actually very responsive. More responsive than I expected it to be. You know, these Harleys are pretty torquey, but this particular bike makes some good power down low. The transmission is crisp. All of the gear changes have been pretty positive so far. You know, it just clicks into place. So far I haven't had any problems finding the gear that I wanted. The brakes have a nice pressure feel in the lever. This particular bike, it does have a mono shock in back. Harley calls these the soft tails. But of course, if you are a Harley guy, you already know all that. And so soft tail just means that it does have rear suspension. And so this bike, the suspension is actually underneath, or at least the shock is actually underneath of the seat, so you can't really see it from outside. You have to actually lift up the seat, but that's pretty cool when you do. Now, because of that, there's no storage that I noticed under there, so you definitely have to be aware of that. Now, something new for 2025 on the Street Bob is ride modes, which is pretty cool. So there's a wet mode, there is a, I guess, regular street mode, and then there's a sport mode. And so obviously they offer varying levels of engine power. Apparently the wet mode cuts power pretty tremendously, so that you don't have to worry about sliding or anything like that. The street mode, the normal mode, which I'm in right now, that mode is for when you well, actually that mode, sorry, that mode is more like what the 2024 bike rode like. Okay, so it gives you that kind of power, which is what I'm on right now. I'll see if I can find a spot when we open it up a little bit when I can try out the sport mode. But the sport mode is then what gives you the full power of the 117cc engine. Now, the suspension, I know I'm kind of jumping around, but the suspension that I was referencing earlier, this has a nice compliant ride. I wouldn't call it squishy by any means, but it's definitely comfortable. And so that's kind of nice. You know, that's what this type of bike is for. This bike, it is made for cruising around. As you can see, there are no fairings on this bike. So, with no fairings, that means you're getting all of the wind. But But that's okay, you know, because when you're cruising around locally like we're doing today, it's actually pretty nice. It's very comfortable. Alright, so yeah, so again, riding locally, as we're doing right now with no fairings, you know, this is where you get to feel all the wind, and it's really nice on this Street Bob. Again, it's a beautiful day. We did have some rain showers a little bit earlier, which delayed our ride, a little thunder, but right now it is absolutely beautiful. The sun is out, just some white fluffy clouds. And if I had to guess, the temperature is probably mid to high 70s. So while you're sitting still, it's a little warm when you got all your gear on, but once you get moving, it's actually really nice. Very comfortable. Now, this bike is pretty stable. You know, going through corners feels nice. It leans pretty easily, which is nice. And even the seating position is a little bit different. The forward controls aren't quite as forward as other bikes that I've ridden, other standard bikes or other cruiser style bikes. So, you know, it's kind of nice that you have more of a upright sitting in a chair type of position as opposed to like Lazy Boy, where your feet are kind of out in front of you. Now, I mentioned the wind. Again, you feel the wind everywhere, on the legs, shoulders, everything. So if you like to ride with an open face helmet, oh yeah, this leans nice. I like this little thing. Let me try the modes real quick. Alright, we're in sport mode now. Oh, she pulls. I was not expecting this little speedster, I'm sorry, this little sport Street Bob to ride like this, to pull like this. Wow, I'm enjoying this. You know, I'll admit, this particular bike was never really on my radar because, you know, it's not as cool and flashy as Harley-Davidson's more expensive bikes, but I mean, it makes a nice sound stock. It has really good power, which is nice. Oh yeah, that's nice. Yeah, not bad, man. All right, so we're wrapping up. This demo ride is over. I'll see if I can get something else for us to take a look at as well. But as always, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit, whoops, there we go. Good. And hit that bell notification so you don't miss what we have coming up next. Chris from AutoAcademics. Thanks for watching. Peace.